Greetings, everybody, and welcome to episode 40 of the Sickcast, aka the Siblings in Cardboard podcast. I'm your host, Noah, joined by my buddies and a special guest, Thomas and Andrew. Whether you're a veteran card gamer or a first timer just testing the waters, we are all siblings in cardboard.
Yes,
Guys,
I'm the special guest.
You are the special guest. How have things been since last time we talked? And Andrew, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself before we ramble on about our day?
Hello, my name's Andrew. I play Flesh and Blood for a long time. That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
No. Yeah, that's
What's
it.
what's your hero of choice that everybody knows you from?
Oh god, I don't know.
It's
Depends
usually
what
Azalea.
I mean,
It's
when I met him,
my-
it's always been Azalea.
Yeah, it's Azalea now. It used to be for 2 years it was like Bravo, and then they made Bravo really good, and it was Bravo star of the show. Then it was Shane. Then it was Fi, and then it was Lexi. Well, it was Bravo again, and then Lexi.
Right. Sounds like you got some top meta heroes in your back pocket that you're pulling out. I assume 5 was when Stubby Hammers were still there.
No, I played Bravo when Stubby was legal because
Oh.
it was really awesome. You'd like go to the top 8 and you'd be like, "Yo, this is awesome!" Like half the field is just like dudes who've never actually played the game before, but just like picked up the $50 deck. And so like you play like one blue crush of the week, and they're like, "How do I beat this?"
My whole game plan is fumbled. I can't just like zero brains into him and blow him up.
Okay. But yeah, Andrew's been terrorizing the local meta pretty much. On Azalea. He's played a little Viscerai for fun. But Thomas, how was your week of Flesh and Blood?
A lot of drafting, so a lot of draft practice. Just kind of trying to lock in the deck list. We only have, I think, like 4 days away, less than 4 days away till I'm on a plane going to nationals. So I was at first excited by a new meta, like a really fresh meta going into national season. Now it's like, this is really stressful, not knowing what I'm going to do because I don't know what the cards are until a few weeks before. But yeah, it is what it is.
Andrew, how have you prepared for nationals? You're going as well, correct?
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of drafting because that's very important. As well, pretty much as important as CC is most of the time. Not doing nearly as much CC as I should be doing, but I've been trying to do that whenever I can.
Just have an okay record in CC and stomp everyone in draft because a lot of people aren't going to have time to do those reps, right?
Yeah.
I think you'll do fine in CC from what I've seen. You usually figure out a way to weave those Azalea turns for those nice big dominated arrows. And as long as everybody goes 2-1 in draft, you should be okay. 3-0 definitely feels better. I haven't been doing a whole lot of Flesh and Blood. I actually played a couple of games today, so it felt pretty good. I've been playing some Telestar here and there. I was super tired. I didn't really play Armory last Friday. I thought we were going to draft, but then we didn't, and then we would have ended up having like one person short anyway, or would have dropped after round 1. I don't know. But I ended up opening some packs and having a good time. I bought some Teklo cards. I'm building Azalea myself because I don't like Dory in the current meta. Although I don't think all hope is lost. It's just a really fun time. We could talk about the Dory performance in Singapore. Yeah,
Did you open any more packs after we did some pack opening yesterday?
I have not. No, in fact, I still have a card emporium behind me, and I still have a lot of things to put up on TCG Player because the prices are at all-time highs for some of these cards. Likely because of nationals, also likely because these heroes are just absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, we can go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, we're gonna cycle right into it. We're not going to talk about in Bold and Blade. We were just actually looking that up. But the first card I want to talk about is, and I think we mentioned this kind of at the beginning when the set first came out, but Levels of Enlightenment, I think, has just solidified itself in this meta as an absolute staple for the new heroes. It's blue E-Strike, but better is what everybody calls it. And so Levels of Enlightenment comes from part to Misfail. It is a 1 cost, so I mean, okay, you got to pay 1 for it. One cost blue that blocks for 3, starts at 3, and it has when this attacks, choose 1 for each blue card you've pitched this turn. Draw a card. This gets +2. This gets go again. It's also safe to note that retroactively pitching cards after Levels of Enlightenment has been put onto the stack. So, I play Levels of Enlightenment, and then you do some instant shenanigans to transcend and then pitch G. That does count.
Yes.
And so that is pretty much why this card, among other reasons, has solidified itself as a top running card of choice for the new heroes. And it is sitting comfortably at $34. Some sales upwards of $40 for the normal, and we're looking at $53 recently for a foil sale. So
I get
up.
that it's used by all the Mystic heroes, but why are all the other Majestics in this set so cheap? It's really weird.
It's got to be low printed, right? I don't know if, take it from our experience. I think I had 2 in 2 cases, which doesn't necessarily seem like, but how many Rowdy Locals did we have? Which was 9 in 2 cases. Do you know what I mean? Some Majestics just feel like they show up a little bit more than the other Majestics.
Like Twin Drive and Heist and stuff were expensive out the gate and stayed expensive and kind of held price, but
yeah, but Bright Lights also had a lot of cards that were just bad in the expansion slot. Meanwhile, in this set, you open a gold pack, you probably got the box paid for just off that. You open an EA whatever or a Marvel, the box is basically paying for itself already.
Yeah. That's something I noticed. If you hit a Marvel, your EV's good, and if you don't, your EV's really bad because the Majestics are so cheap.
It's feast or famine.
Manifestation Samira guy's $5. The card is crazy.
But there's a lot of product being opened up too. I think this is one of the most, I don't want to say one of the most, but I think it's even more pre-ordered and more stocked on and more bought than Heavy Hitters. And Heavy Hitters had some good Marvel chases and some good expansion cards where, Bright Lights was attempting to do that, but then the Marvels kind of fell short because they weren't real Marvels in people's eyes. Yeah, just a little bit. And so I feel like Bright Lights wasn't super overbought, whereas Heavy was bought really well. And then I think this was bought just out the wazoo. So I feel like there is so much product floating around right now. So these prices are probably going to take some time to recover. People are still trying to find themselves in the meta. Maybe people don't really trust what the top deck is until after Nats. They want some major tournament decider. They don't want Battle Hardens. They want a Calling or a Nats to say, hey, this is the top tier deck, and then we're going to see things surge. But it definitely feels like Mistfield just has a feast or famine with its chases. Good chases, you're just not always going to get them. I only have 3 more cards, so we can get right into the Battle Hardened results and then into the tier list, which is what the bulk of the show is going to be. And we've talked about this card in the past. We're going to talk about it again because it's at $40 right now, and that's Ancestral Harmony. No surprise, Zen's comfortably finding himself as MTG's equivalent of Red Deck Wins, in my opinion, which is the best way I can put it. It's a deck that if you draw correctly, yes, you can do 2 to 3 turn wins. Not saying every deck gets flattened by it, but it does have some insane line and string potentials. Anybody who watched the Singapore Battle Hardened knows how wide Zen can go and how many cards he can draw, and it was brutal. Ancestral Harmony is from Heavy Hitters from the expansion slot. It's a 0 cost blue, so pitches for 3, cost 0. It's a ninja action, blocks for 3, and it says your attacks with combo get +1 this turn. Banish the top card of your deck. If it has combo, you may play it this turn. Go again. And it's sitting comfortably at $40 for the normal. And it looks like about, it's old for the Rainbow Foil, $50.
It's just the perfect Zen card. It does everything you want to do. Yeah. It's crazy.
What's better than that?
It is the best blue starter. There's no better blue starter. It's by far the best.
Yeah, that card's dumb.
Just throw it out. Say, hey.
You can miss, and you don't care.
Yeah, if it misses, it's still 5 damage.
If it hits,
at the least.
If it hits, it's 10 damage.
Yeah, if it hits, you're dead.
Yeah.
Like, it sucks.
Ancestral
Oh.
Harmony, Art of War, Art of War.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's happened, and that's levels of damage unseen. We've talked about this next. We talked about all these cards. One card though we haven't talked about in a hot minute, and I definitely see that its spike is due to Nats. But this card we've talked about. It is Phantom Tidemaw, so weirdly enough, from Bright Lights, which was from the expansion slot. So now we have all three sets we just talked about as well in terms of their popularity. Phantom Tidemaw is an illusionist instant aura. Good thing we have to, denote the instant part because that really matters. It says whenever an illusionist card you control is destroyed, put a +1 counter on this phantasm. So if it's defended by 6 or more, a non-illusionist 6 or more, it pops it. It has ward 1, and it is a blue with no block value. It is sitting comfortably at $41. So just when you
wow,
just when you
I
thought
need
it
to
couldn't get any
sell
higher,
mine. I think I have one or two.
yeah,
It doesn't even get played in every list, but I don't like, even if you don't want to swing with it because it has Phantasm, the interaction with Restless Coalescence is so good. Restless Coalescence is the cats that can take the tokens and create spectral shields. And there's this really funny thing that you could do if you have 2 Phantom Tidemaws out. Every token you take off of it gets doubled again. Because you make a spectral field, it pops, and both the Phantom Tidemaws get a +1. So you actually double the number of +1 counters you'll generate over the course of the game if you manage to just keep everything out indefinitely.
because you're
It's
essentially feeding a card with the other card.
yeah, they're feeding each other.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's $40 though. Do you remember when that card came out? It's like $1 or $2.
50 cents.
Yeah.
It was so cheap, and I remember because I boxed them up and with all my Tales of Aria stuff, I have like a section that says like it's not ready yet or whatever, and I like put them all there, and then I had to like, as they were going up, I was like, oh, it's time to pull these out, and then I bought a bunch of them, and I was just like, wow, I never expected them to get this high. I was
Are
already
you selling
happy with
them?
the
Because
20.
you should. I don't think they're
They're
going
going up.
higher.
They're going up after this this podcast. If I do anything tonight, I gotta put the Phantom Tidemaws up. I've got quite a few of them, and they need to go. The last card is I don't have a very lot of them. I only have a play set, and that's Warmonger's Diplomacy. We all know this card goes up right before Nats.
I watched Andrew cringe.
It's no, but yeah, you got Long Draw Half Glove now. It's okay. You got some play into it. Don't worry about it. Sort of. I know.
Sort of.
I know it. I know it's not good. I know. Warmonger's Diplomacy is from Dusk Till Dawn, so really key cards that have like kept their value throughout the last 4 sets. It is currently at $60 for a Warmonger's Diplomacy. That's right, it's crazy. I know. I thought 40, I thought 50 was bad. No,
that is
comfortably
so wild.
selling at $60
I think
right
I
now.
picked up my set for like 30, 35 each.
Yeah, there are 2 rainbow foils, one's at 80 and one's at 100. So if you really want them foil, now's a really terrible time. Just throwing it out there. Warmonger's Diplomacy is a generic action, so anybody can run it. It's a 0-cost blue. Oh, it's already sounding good. It blocks for 3. Wow, it could go in any deck. It really can. Starting with the hero on to your left, because it matters. Each hero chooses War or Peace. If they choose War, the only actions they may play or activate during their next turn are weapon and attack actions. If they choose Peace, the only actions they may play or activate during their next turn are non-weapon, non-attack actions. So obviously Azalea cannot pump and then shoot an arrow. She would have to choose either shooting the arrow with no pumps or pumping and no arrow. And so obviously there's different heroes that it targets, but
it really,
Azalea is
really
definitely
affects Rune Blades and Rangers.
Yeah, my favorite classes.
Zen loves playing it too because he's always got an action point at the end. He could just drop it at the end. Though it was really funny, as Zen Warmonger's Diplomacy once, and then I was able to like clap back with like an E-strike and 2 arrows, and he blocked with 2 Ancestral Harmonies. I'm like, why is he blocking with those? And it's like, oh, he Warmongers himself.
Yeah.
He couldn't play him.
Yeah, no, it's like a card that like sometimes just like wins the game, and then sometimes it does literally nothing but like turn off your next hand.
Yeah, Rangers have
Definitely,
some play, but especially with the new glove. I'm surprised the value went up so high, despite having a starts on play on the board counter to it.
I mean, it's also like really good in Enigma because like if you played against Azalea and they're not able to actually do anything, if you already have like an aura out, like if you like can do like the manifestations of Mirror Guy, swing it, uphold tradition it, make it, a 10 power attack, and then play Warmonger's Diplomacy, basically make it so Azalea can't play a turn, and then do that again next turn, you usually just win the game.
You just need to like flip and you can't flip. You can't even activate Azalea.
Yeah, you literally have like one piece of equipment to save you, and if that fails you, you're dead.
Yeah, you need to just have the Murkmire, use the gloves, and then shoot a big Murkmire, and hopefully it hits.
Yeah, like it only hits if you have like a Rain Razors, and they don't have the defense reaction.
oh yeah,
Or if they
there's a
like,
lot of what ifs.
or they like draw free transcend cards because they do that sometimes.
Interesting.
There's plenty other that I could have chose. I just saw those 4. They're pretty staple right now. I'm pretty, Nats is coming up, so I wanted to kind of look at some of the decks that are going to be represented in Nats and some of the pieces. And I think that those were some of the best 4. None of the equipment has really shot up. Traverse the Universe is still sitting at $90. If anybody wants to know, it's the most expensive equipment piece out of there. All the other equipment pieces I think are doing okay. I think the prices are a little low right now just because of the amount of product being sold, and I think people are kind of holding off on making decisions. So if you're trying to sell your cards, you might want to wait a little bit. If you're trying to pick up things for all 3 classes, I think now's a good time on some of these. On some of them, there's a chance that your hero of choice that you pick will win nationals, and then things will spike. Also, note Snag is still at $17. Don't ask me why, but I will play it against other things other than new just to prove
it might be because there's like 3 news in top 8 Battle Hard in Las Vegas. She's apparently,
it might be.
She's consistently getting top 8, right? Maybe she didn't get top 8 at the Battle Hard in Singapore. No, she didn't.
No, there was not a new in
but
the
there's
top 8
another event the weekend before that she
Montreal. Yeah, she's very good at Montreal.
So yeah, Battle Hard in Las Vegas and Battle Hard in Singapore happened over the course of the weekend. There were 3 news in top 8, and then it was 2 Azaleas, 2 Zens, and 1 Kano. And
who were the 2 Azaleas?
One of them was Brody Spurlock, and then is the other one Brody's mom?
I think it was
Andrew Rudin.
Yeah. Oh, Brody's mom was probably on something else, but I think the notable like factoid was that Brody's mom also got top 8 there, right?
I just assumed Brody's mom did play Azalea. Wait,
No.
what hero did Brody's mom play? Because like that's super cool.
I'd have to go look.
There was definitely two Spurlocks in the top 8,
which is really cool. Like that's like family goals, right? Like you take your whole family to an event and just wreck it.
Like you could like double your EV.
Yeah, you double your EV. I mean, you at top 8, I think they both prized out, so it is a doubling of EV, and Brody took it home, so he definitely prized out. And then top 8 at Singapore was 2 Dash, 1 Zen, 1 Enigma, 2 KO, 1 Dorinthia, 1 Victor. So a bit more diverse in the top 8. Surprising with Dash, but if you've ever followed like Southeast Asia and Australia meta, there's like always Dashes in the top 8. Best Dash players in the world are probably down under.
Yeah, no, it's like literally Merritt Kemp and then the entirety of Asia.
I do find it interesting that Victor managed to pull out some victory, but maybe New was just less represented, where New was clearly heavily represented in Las Vegas. And
yeah, there was a Victor in the Battle Hard in Singapore in the top 8, which is nice to still see Guardian presence.
I think if you kind of combine these 2 top 8s, you get an okay view of what the meta might be, other than like not seeing Prism pop up into a top 8. Yeah, I don't think her matchups got any worse. Maybe just there wasn't a prevalent player at either of these events.
I mean, I feel like still there's some sneaky. Well, we're gonna get into it, but I feel like a lot of illusionists are probably gonna try the other illusionists just to feel, because if you wanted to play illusionist and all you had was Dromai and then Dromai left and then all you had was Prism, and you just weren't really happy with the way Prism played, and then Enigma came out and you realize Prism has a terrible matchup into Enigma, you just play Enigma, who has really good matchups, minus I guess getting blown out by Zen and some Riptide shenanigans. Enigma's matchups are pretty decent.
Speaking of like matchups and stuff like that, we could get here to what maybe people are here for. We can hop over and do our tier list. Yay, tier list! We have to have one. We're not a podcast if we don't post one before every major event season.
It is. It's free real estate. You have to do one. And our opinion is just equally. It's just better. It's just better. Trust me. We got Andrew here. Yeah. He's a specialist. That's why he's here. He's here to tell us why we're right.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. We need that level of assurity.
Well, let's just go in alphabetical order then. Can you guys see the tier list? Is it moving for you?
Oh, is it? Yeah, it is. It is an alphabetical. Okay. All right. I mean, you know where to put them.
So our tiers are like more, not necessarily like, they will kind of line up by their power levels, but it's like, how much do you need to respect them going into national season? Like,
yeah, I don't believe in S tier.
How much are they going to warp the way you build your deck or what matchups you choose? Like, because if we make this max respect and you have two just abysmal 0% matchups up here, you should probably consider bringing a different deck or adjusting your deck list to accommodate. The who are you at the bottom?
To play the calling.
Yeah, the who are you at the bottom is just like, do you even exist? Which clearly that's where this guy should be.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start with Azalea.
Yeah.
We just skipped. Dude, I'm so sorry, Arachne. It's just not your time.
Azalea is straight up max respect. If you don't have a way to survive through the Red and Ledger, especially in a really aggro-y, combo-y oriented meta, you're going to get destroyed by her. I think she's very strong in this meta.
Oh, yeah. I think like the big weakness of Azalea right now is that you have like cards that are good into everybody, but you can only register 80 of them. And so like you have to ask yourself, like, do I want to play 6-7 power poppers for Prism? And like right now, probably not. But that also means that like Prism's really hard.
Yeah. I think she's hard anyway. And that's because I think they're running the instant that puts -2 on the attack. Those are coming back in the deck. I thought they were going to be gone, but now that they're coming back in the deck, you put these 7 power cards that kind of clunk your deck up. You block and they go, that's at 5 now.
Yeah, and then you've lost the game.
Yep.
It sucks.
Yeah, you're also, like you said, vying for deck space against the other illusionists, which yes, you do want poppers, but you know kind of a different game plan and a different approach into Enigma than you would Prism, where popping heralds is the game. Can't really just pop Enigma.
I don't think Azalea will ever be a hero you could disrespect unless like literally everyone comes into a coalition and says we're not going to bring Azalea, because Red and the Ledger just interacts in the game in such a way that just turns everyone's plans off.
Yeah, and you add in Codex of Frailty along for 6 of those.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god!
I know, it's wonderful.
Codex is so just wonderful. Such a brutal
and it's
card.
Like this guy who likes throwing just one big attack, he's not even in the meta. So like the big one attack heroes are not even in the meta. Okay, so speaking of Guardians, who are you and who are you, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Dash is never lower than okay.
Yeah, that's like all Dash has ever done. Like every 3 to 4 months, Dash wins one tournament, and we're like, guys, is Dash good again? And the answer is always like,
yeah,
she's okay, I guess.
I don't think this is a meta where Slab Dash can thrive, so you don't need to respect her. You just need to know how her math works, and if you can't beat her math, you need to be trying to fatigue her.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't think there's you don't go, oh no, Dash is a thing. Like, how am I gotta respect the pistol pat? You know what I mean? Like, if you know your Dash matchup, you're gonna be okay. I mean, obviously there's high rolls, there's Pounder, there's some crazy boost draws, but gotta know your math on that one. You gotta know when it is to just waylay into her.
I think Dio is disrespect.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
you know
I
better
think
than any
she's
of us.
good, but there's no reason to bring her over better combo-oriented heroes like the guy we'll get to at the end.
Yeah. There's nothing that Dio is doing that's inherently special to her that makes her better than anyone else right now.
I mean, she's not a who are you. She wins games. She has great output on numbers, but she's not as consistent as like Zen.
Right. I'd agree with that.
I think Dorinthia is almost sitting like Dash. She's in the okay tier now that dual wield warrior is kind of like been dropped. I thought she was the best dual wield warrior in the last meta. However, I would be afraid of Dawnblade going to nationals. Be aware, like Dawnblade is a thing, and Glistening Steelblade can just take over any game.
Yeah, you actually do have to like play defense reactions again for that matchup.
Yes,
Definitely got to respect your Dories.
Yeah, and having B
Not-
reacts is good against Azalea anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but like previously, like if I got paired into Dorinthia, I just didn't even bring in Sigvalo. Like if it was in my deck list, I was like, yeah, no.
Well, yeah, because everybody was on the hatchets, and this is part of the reason why I was like the Azalea matchup got terrible because Azalea Dawnblade v Azalea felt okay. It was 50-50. I mean, we're gonna blow each other's homes up, and it's whoever really starts the big disruption first. And I mean, obviously you have on hits, and I have counters. But once we went to hatchets, it was absolutely impossible to beat Azaleas because Azaleas would just go, oh, there's no damage at all. There's no ramping. Okay, I'm just going to set up for 14, 16 dominates every turn, and I don't care. I'm not going to block it. And so definitely back in the seat on the Dawnblade, but there's too many polarized matchups on Dawnblade for her to be like a respectful deck.
But what's a bad Dawnblade matchup in this meta? Is Enigma bad?
Victor's a terrible Dawnblade matchup. Enigma's borderline unwinnable unless you're drawing the courses at the correct time because you're not going to get reprised to singing it out. And the attack still has to be high enough to go over an unmovable. And so the resource curve doesn't really play into it. You're not getting free hits usually, so you're not going to be able to pay into grains. So it's not like you're going to be floating over tons of resources to have the abundance. So you're relying on E-Pot and some weird trickery and well-timed routes and like well-timed just actual usage of chorus. And it's just too much happenstance. Victor, while he folds to other decks, completely hoses. Dawnblade's going to win the clash. His math is just really good. He has got insane armor. It doesn't matter. He can give you a counter and just reset it the next turn. It's a grueling matchup. It feels like you're playing into old him, sort of. I mean, I'm not going to tell him that he's that bad, but that's a very polarized matchup. And then the aggro matchups, are you really out racing some of them? I don't know. I mean, Glistening's a hell of a card, but
you have to draw it.
You have to draw it, and like there's just a case where Zen just shoves his armor, and like you're in a weird situation where you're trying to twinning around armor, and what's your next? I don't know. You need so many impossible scenarios for Dorinthia, and there's only so many you're going to get in one game.
Right. You also have like bad matchup into Riptide.
Riptide's terrible, depending on what variation you're playing. Like,
I think
then you're playing the mind game.
I think your matchup's probably bad in Kano now, because Dawnblade is just worse than Kano.
You have to absolutely disrespect Kano. In fact, I see people with 2 AB and Oasis, and I'm sorry. Like that's a joke. At that point, you might as well play 1 AB if you run into a Rune Blade. And I would actually play 0 AB into Viscerai. I'd only bring AB into Vincent if you've played a Vincent, and I would just completely disrespect Kano. There's no point. You're absolutely going to get blown up if he has it
Actually, your
anyway.
matchup into OTK and Turtle Burst Viscerai is probably awful too.
Yeah,
so they just run so many defense reactions.
That deck's not real right now.
Yeah,
hopefully.
that's fair.
But
Enigma.
yeah, no.
So moving on, Enigma.
I'd say like respect.
I think it's respect
Top of
too,
respect,
because sometimes good numbers can just beat her, right?
And playing fast, really fast.
But I think she's a good deck, and I think she's gonna be popular. There's gonna be a lot of her, but I think like sometimes your game plan just beats her. So
gotta have an answer for it though. Bring your warriors, bring your shunts if you're gonna play it in this meta. Shunt is absolutely key.
Yeah, reckless swing, riptide traps. Yeah, all the little
find ways to
good.
ping. Find ways to ping on the opposite turn.
Who is she bad into? Like she's bad into Prism. I thought Prism. I mean, no, she's good into Prism. I thought Prism was good into her, It turns out she's pretty good into Prism.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if she struggles against Zen. I think everyone struggles against Zen, to be
Yeah,
honest.
it's a fairly bad ninja matchup. Like Katsu's kind of all right because like they actually have to hit to do anything, but like even Fi is hard for her.
I would imagine aggro Viscerai is pretty bad for
Oh yeah, like
Enigma.
yeah, no, like you actually the second you have to start pitching to Ring Chance instead of using your blue cards to actually play attacks, you're losing to Viscerai usually.
And I heard Kano like found the sauce to just consistently beat her, but like Kanos say that about literally everything, so I don't
Yeah, no,
know.
this time it's like actually legitimate because it's the illusionist players that are also scared. Like, so the thing is as Enigma, how do you actually pressure Kano consistently? And like the answer is like you either play attack action cards, in which case you're playing attack action cards, so you're going to make your like share into other decks worse.
Mhm.
Yep.
Or you're like going like, all right, we're gonna swing this aura at them, and then they go activate Kano, play like anything off the top, Waning Moon for free, and you're like, how do I beat that?
Because yeah,
Oh yeah,
because you're constantly having to jockey between pitching for that and protecting your war. Yeah, it's
and you don't have space to get AB3, right?
Yeah, and like they don't even have to like actually like combo kill if they don't have to.
nope. They can
Well, they
just
don't have to
whittle
do
you
like
down.
pitch stacked combo kill. They can sometimes just kill randomly before then off the back of just Kindle plus random other
Interesting.
cards.
Yeah, it sounds miserable. So
That being said, you can like beat a Kano that's bad
okay,
fairly easily.
then talking about like we can move to talking about Kano because that's a who are you right there.
Oh,
Oh,
poor
Okay,
he
Fi.
but not like
he
the
is the
top
worst
of
Can
who
we
are
ninja.
get him?
you?
Can we get
He's
him in
better than that.
disrespect? Yeah, get him in disrespect.
How?
You can disrespect Fi.
How
put him
is
at
he
top
not
of
a who are you?
Because people can still play Fi.
You don't.
Fi's,
Like he can still win games. It's
yeah,
not
he
like
can
he
still. Fi
Fine.
does great in the
Okay.
turtle.
He
Like he's a
can win
disrespect. He can win
games.
games. Like
Searing
nobody
Emberblade
expected him
is
to
this-
win worlds. Put that boy in there. Fi's our guy. I've been a Fi main my whole life.
those Mira guy ashes though. That really helped his deck out a lot.
It does. Crazy. Look at that. You can do whatever you want.
Kano, not Kano. Fi just didn't really get anything like really big. I think the new Rowdy Locals is a great card for him. Prismatic Leyline could be good for him. It's like a yellow 0 for 6, so it's just like having another Salt the Wound in your deck. And Fi does really well with having a good color distribution across his deck list. But I still don't think you would
Yeah,
play him over Katsu, and I don't know if there's a lot of reasons to play Katsu over Zen. So if you like Ninja, I feel like you just
Well, it's okay. That's why he's disrespected. He's not a who are
yeah,
you though.
yeah. There's nothing Fi's doing that's better than another ninja.
Right.
But he
I
looks
guess it's like Dash.io, right? It's
yeah, like
just an
nothing
aggro
Dio's
deck.
doing is that good. But I mean, it's still a deck that like I could lose to in a tournament.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Maximum respect.
Okay. Do we put Kano in max respect because he's going to be good, or do you have to just put him in respect because it's getting to a point that we can't max respect Kano? Like you could run AV3 and he could still kill you. You could run Oasis Respite and he could still kill you.
Max respect doesn't mean put every single card you can against it. It just means that you need to have a game plan for it.
Yeah,
And
like he's like one of those heroes where if your deck can physically never beat Kano, like say for example, like if you're like
Riptide?
Guardian, you just can't
like
beat them.
Riptide.
Yeah,
or
if you're playing
Guardian,
Riptide,
yeah.
Yeah. I'm playing Riptide at Nats, and I will not be beating any Kanos unless they low roll super hard. And that's
so,
fine.
like, that's
This
it,
is going to
but-
be my one matchup that I just have like a 20. It's an 80-20. It's whatever.
yeah, the big thing is like you actually have to figure out what you want as your loadout now into him. Whereas previously, like it was fairly easy to figure out what you want for Arcane Barrier. Now you have to ask yourself, do I just play Spell Void instead? Because like, you know, they can just come at me for like Wildfire for 7 off of Kindle out of nowhere on turn 2.
And Kindle changed the math, right? It used to be you're at 22 or 23, you're pretty resilient especially with AB3. Now it's just like you could be at 30 and die with AB3. It's wild. The Kindle is crazy. If they play 2 Kindles, you're just dead at 40 sometimes. Like even with AB3.
Kindle's a hell of a card.
I think the saving grace is the deck is still really hard to play. The deck can like eat itself. You keep just drawing these awkward hands with all your reds in them, and then when you get your blues, you just flip blues off the top. That's a thing.
Yep.
But I have watched people say Kindle, flip a bunch of blues and kill them with the blues before too. So because they flipped a blue Aether Flare and used that to kill somebody.
Kano's your skill ceiling hero, right? Like the floor is really low because you have to know the deck, but like the ceiling's really, really high. And if you know what you're doing on that hero and you're pitch stacking it well, and you're not like succumbing to mental fatigue 8 rounds in, and you're still sharp as a whip in a top 8, you're lethal in every deck.
I think Spellfray is really good into him, but it's such a huge deck tax to bring multiple pieces of Spellfray for literally one hero.
I mean, but like the thing is like if previously your game plan as KO was like Arcane Barrier free into KO, you now have to ask yourself, okay, do I just play like Arcane Barrier 2 with Skullhorn and then play like Spellfray Gloves instead?
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff you have to ask.
Yeah, I could see it. Because if for people who may not know, the Spellfray essentially just gives you 5 life on the combo turn. It can be more because you just block that 1 point on the wildfire turn, and that propagates out across the whole turn, and so every bit of spell void comes out to about 5 life. All right, Kasai. I think almost all of the warriors are going to sit in the okay tier. Kasai maybe gets some respect. I think her specializations give her some edge, and if you don't know her math, she will run you over. But I don't know if she gets out of okay tier.
Yeah, she's still not going to like be happy facing like anything in respect or max respect that badly.
If she has to play the really aggro variant where she's not running like the value centric like mid range with more D reacts, then she's really unhappy to play into Azalea and Phi and all the ninjas because the math just is terrible. Like the more D reacts and the more attacks you're sitting there trying to block and value out, like you end up losing all that chip damage. But she does have the saving grace of having the blood on her hands and ability to sort of pull the game back. Whereas when you're playing Hatchet Strenthia and Raisin Army
is good against some matchups.
You're just you're my 3 swing. Well, I mean it's hard to 3 swing when you're throwing every single card down. So Kasai definitely has the edge in being able to crawl back. I just don't know if this is a dual wield meta. I just don't know if this is the value centric meta anymore. This is now the how unfair is my damage and how fast am I doing it meta.
I know that her matchup into Enigma is it might even be cursed. It's just not good. Azalea, I don't know. What's Kasai's matchup into Azalea?
Oh, it depends a lot on like how the Kasai is actually building their list. Generally, I am very happy to play into his like Kasai though.
They're usually mid-rangey, right? Like they feel like you're playing Hatchet Story right from the old meta, kind of. Yeah.
Like their entire deck's game plan like is to have good math, and like you play one Codex of Frailty or Lace of Frailty, and they have bad math for the entire turn.
Yep.
And then I already know it wasn't great in Decano. It was pretty rough.
They eventually figured it out.
So she'll have one. I think he still ends up in max respect. So she'll have one matchup in the max respect.
KO's bad against Warriors, and in the same way New's bad against Warriors. They're just we'll get to that, but KO just doesn't have cards that block, and so and you're already winning the value. But KO still gets to do the whole high roll ceiling thing where it doesn't matter how many cards you have to block if he double cast Bones, hits a 6 on it, and throws 26 at you. Like you're not blocking that anyway. So,
all right, our next hero is Katsu.
Yeah, I think like Katsu is either like okay or disrespect.
I keep him in okay. I still think that there's going to be Katsus that are out there doing their thing.
Yeah, he like actually has on hit effects that you have to care about. Whereas like Zen, like as cool as his turns are, like even if he's doing like a really cool like turn 2 30 damage, if you're like playing Azalea and your hand is like, oh, I get to dominate Red and Ledger for 18, you just don't block. Meanwhile, like against Katsu, if they like throw a dishonor at you, you're like, oh, I have to block that or else I just lose the game.
That's true.
Yep.
So
you get to
I actually think he's still a pretty good hero. The meta didn't get any worse for him, so I don't see why he wouldn't be in respect, but I think that's crazy. considering there's a ninja that's strictly better than him. I think he's still good enough to be in the respect tier. I think Ninja's really strong right now.
I mean, you definitely have to respect him, right? If you don't understand how the deck works, if you don't understand, 3 cards in hand, he plays, be like water. Okay, what's the got me? Like, what's the gotcha? Like how deep does it go? If you're not looking at the graveyard, is there triple bonds? Oh, if he has X, Y, then yeah, you're gonna get gotcha'd by Katsu in the math.
Here's the one argument that might push him down. What's his new matchup like? Is it miserable? I feel like it is.
I have no clue. I don't play new.
I'm gonna guess it is, because if she ever like Bonds of Agony rips any of your like important combo pieces out, those are just gone, and you run out of cards to kill with.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you like turn 2 lose free bonds before you even have a graveyard, you're never triple bondsing that game.
So maybe it goes okay, because as we can see, news are winning in top 8 pretty often.
But the news still has to respect the game. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking in terms of respect. So like, you still have to respect Katsu to know how to weave around that. And so if
I'm
news
saying
still
as
has
a
to
general
navigate that
total
matchup,
meta, do you need to come in to the tournament with respect for Katsu? And it could be that he's just in this okay tier, because people are going to go, I'm going to play Zen instead, because the matchup he's better in a lot of ways, and the matchup into new is better.
I for that same reason, I actually just feel like that's why you respect Katsu, because if I'm a Katsu player that doesn't really want to play Zen and I want my on hits, I hope everybody forgot about Katsu. Like, he's still a top.
Well, people are remembering the on hits.
Death.
I just don't think you need.
Another thing is too, we got was it Gauntlets of Stonewall and Part the Mistveil that's actually like very often like a block 4 against him.
Yeah. They're very good against Katsu.
But you got to put them in your side deck. I mean, I guess they're in there for Zen.
You're putting it in for Zen, and so like he gets hit with a lot of like
strays,
collateral damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the tech against Zen again makes Katsu push down.
That's right. Because they're going to be running those snags.
This guy, max respect. His numbers are still wild. He's got so much arsenal disruption.
There's less warriors going around now too.
Less warriors, and he actually got cards in Mistveil. He got Weakest Link, which is just an incredible card for him, and against him, to be fair.
And against him too. So the mirror match definitely got hate between each other, but yeah.
So Weakest Link is a 2-for-6 that says when this hits, look at a player's hand. If they have a no block in their hand, like Art of War, any of the Transcend cards, and so on, they discard it and you draw a card. That's just wild value if you ever hit with it. And plays perfectly into his lineup. It's really good. Any comments about KO? I think like he just hasn't changed, and his matchup in the Kano got worse because of Kindle, but I think that's about it.
Yeah, at the same time too. Like he has Savage Sash now, and we haven't really had like a ton of like super big tournaments since that card came out.
Yeah, Savage Sash is crazy.
You got to know your matchup with KO. You got to be able to deal with those numbers.
All right, another brute next up. I think Levia is definitely respect. In some ways, she has better numbers than KO. It's just sometimes she just punts because of blood debt, or her wind up is too slow. Levia used to be really, really good in Kano. Now she's worse because Kindle just was a card that he got that lets him combo even earlier. She has access to do the AB3 Spell Void 4 or AB2 Spell Void 6, so she's got good numbers in Kano. I think she struggles into Azalea. I think it's a really scary matchup because Nap Time Dart.
Yeah, Sleep Dart, which like is a good card into Zen. It's very unlikely that you'll see Azalea's not on it.
Yep. I used to like judge sometimes whether I even wanted to play Levia based on like how good Sleep Dart was into the meta, and Sleep Dart is extremely good into the current meta. You are going to get Nap Time Darted if you're on Levia.
Yeah, there's also the fact too that a lot of your blues just don't block, or like Art of War as well. So if you get hit with Weakest Link,
yep, you are vulnerable to Weakest Link. You're actually more vulnerable than KO is. Let's see. You're vulnerable to news shenanigans. She's got a couple better cards to rip. Like Deadwood Rumbler is just a solid 6 damage that she could rip out of your banish zone. Also, you can't block her to build up graveyard since the cards get banished.
Right.
Yep, you can only really block daggers and contract cards. So she could be tough against New. But I mean, she could go toe to toe with KO. As long as she doesn't draw really bad, she can go against Enigma just fine. So I think you gotta respect her. She's got crazy numbers sometimes with the new Shadow Realm Horror card. Max, I think he goes into the disrespect tier. What he does is pretty good, but I think it's like the other 3 in the disrespect. He's not like bringing anything especially better to the table.
Yeah, the amount of time it takes you to like construct Nitro Mechanoid, like Zen could literally kill you.
Yes. Yep. Or you construct the Nitro Mechanoid and you hit a bunch of times and the Zen drops to like 4, but you're already at like 4 yourself, and then the Zen kills you.
Or you play against like some boomer KO that's still playing Smashing Performance.
Dude, KOs. I wonder if KOs are just cutting item hate from the list.
Oh, they should.
Yeah,
They should is the
you
key
think the
word.
dash
Whether
is
or not
dash
they
is
did.
so suppressed now, but isn't item hate pretty decent against Kano? You force him to use his
In
E-Pod or
theory,
snipe it.
but like the game's gonna end in free turns anyway, and they're only playing like max 5 items, so you have to draw the card, play it, and then the thing is too is if you go Smash Performance against Kano, they can be like, okay, break Energy Potion, let's go.
Yeah, and you spent 3
Right, they can just break
resources to play
response.
that card that doesn't even have an action point on it. Like, yeah, I think Max, if we see the game ever slow back down a little bit, which it doesn't look like it's going to, because you know they released KO, amped him up, then they released Zen. He's really strong, just like Dash IO is really strong, but I don't think they do anything especially good enough yet.
Yeah, he's like bad into like all of the max respect heroes. And like respect heroes, I think.
Yes, bad, okay. Other than especially if they take out the item hate. I think it's okay because they can be aggressive while they're trying to set up. I think this was when I used to play it. It was an absolutely cursed matchup because I was running item hate, and I'd just block until they built it, and then I'd blow it up and move on. So yeah, he's got a lot of bad matchups in the top levels. All right, New. I think even if she isn't the best hero, if you don't understand her play patterns, she's going to be highly represented, by the way, because of waifu.
Yeah.
If you don't understand her play patterns, you're going to get reamed.
Or the math, or how these 1-cost cards quickly turn into 11s and 12s. I mean, like, oh, that's just a 1-cost or 1 attack, and then all of a sudden 3 reactions.
Bonds of Agony with a Tunic counter up and a Just a Nick in hand comes in for 10. There's like, you just let it hit. You have to. Hopefully, if you're a combo deck, you don't have your combo card in your hand.
Yeah, the way you like respect Neo is you just make it so your deck doesn't even want to block.
Yep,
pretty much.
Or if it does block, it blocks in efficient ways, right? Where you throw like a D-React plus a piece of armor and say you gotta have Just a Nick. If you don't have it, then you're getting wrecked. Some heroes have some really good matchups against her. I know Riptide's matchup in the New is fantastic. It's very, very good for Riptide.
How's the Azalea matchup? Because you're not running blues most of those lists, right? So like she's not actually
even if you are playing blues,
she doesn't have a bow.
All right.
But like that just means that like her text box doesn't matter. The big thing is she can't Sirens call you because you're playing no blues.
Right.
Even if you are playing blues, because there's so like if let's say you're on Sandscar or Great Bow and you're like on like something teen blue list, they're still just gonna not play it against you anyway.
Yeah, because if they Sirens call and they don't hit, they just paid 1 to do nothing. Feels really bad when you play Sirens call and you don't hit. It's like really bad. And just to let people know, that's a 1-cost attack reaction that says look at a player's hand, pull a blue from it, put it on the stack defending, and then draw a card if you pulled that blue card.
Yeah, it's gotta let you draw a card too. And it could be done on daggers as well. So like they have like let's say they have like the Tunic on free, the Just a Nick, the Bonds. If they have like an extra blue and something else, they can just go Dagger, Sirens Call you, take a card out of your hand, and then do the cool thing.
Oh, dude! And then if you block the dagger from a card from hand, you are destroyed.
Yeah, you've lost the game. Like
You
sometimes on
you
the
lost
spot.
2 cards to a dagger.
So that's the reason why you just don't block.
Yeah, don't block. So the way
Yeah,
you
just don't block.
maximum respect New is by disrespecting her, you would say.
Right.
Yeah. I don't respect you.
But what we're saying though is know her game plan, have some plans for her if you're weak to her, like Snag, for instance. And otherwise,
Oh, this is where
you're gonna
Snag
get
comes in.
punished.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm joking. I
All
know
right,
this is where Snag comes in.
I'm really sad that this is still Who
I
Are You,
think-
right?
I think Olympia is disrespect.
Is he?
You just disrespect them.
Yeah,
All
like at the end of
warriors
the
are pretty
day,
good, right?
yeah, at the end of the day, Olympia is still like a fine deck that wins games. It's just you're going to have to answer why you're not playing Kasai, and then you have to answer why you're not playing Dorinthia. And like visiting the Golden Anvil isn't that good because you're like registering 2 grains of blood spill.
That card's not complete yet.
If you want to
and
show up with the most expensive deck possible, though, you have that option. No one's
Oh.
showing up with a more expensive deck than you if you really want to go for it, because you could just put so many gold foils into your deck.
Yeah, and you can get like the cold foil golds.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Olympia's your bling deck. You bring that to show off, but no, the Olympia will slowly figure it out. It's hard to see where the identity is.
In already looking at it, it's so interesting that we were kind of touting off about like heavy hitters when it was around, that like, man, this set immediately had a meta impact, and you're watching these heroes just pew, kind of go
Yeah, the
away,
meta impact was
except for this
KO
guy
and
right at the
decks that are
top.
good against KO.
Yeah. I don't think there's a lot to say about him. Visit the Golden Anvil, while a really cool card, very unique to Flesh and Blood, it's a slow card, and this meta doesn't really reward slow play. You need to be disruptive or fast. Prism.
I think
It's
like Prism's a respect hero.
You still respect Prism.
it's
Yeah, I think
somewhere
we're
in
not
here.
in a metagame where you get to max respect Prism because she's just not going to appear enough.
Yeah, it's fair. Know
But
her
yeah,
play patterns. Understand when you're just supposed to block out and wait for a better turn. Block the first herald, please.
Yeah,
Just block a lot.
Yeah, block a lot.
That's your-
She'll eventually draw a handful of blues or a handful
Or
of
a hand of like
reds.
triumphs.
Yeah, or a
or
bunch of
figments.
angels. Every time she hits you, she's making her deck better because she's taking these really crappy cards that cost 4 and don't block out of her deck.
Yeah,
Right.
if you can end up in a situation where you're on the front foot against her and she's blocking a lot, if she doesn't have like the figments out of her deck, she literally just doesn't get to block because her hand's all figments.
Mm-hmm.
definitely a knowledge check matchup. Still want to have some poppers probably if you can fit them in, just to cycle your turns better. At least your 3 CNCs, nothing crazy.
Be aware that she's running the -2 attack to a defending attack and +2 or +3 attack instance. A lot of them are running what's the gloves, the instant attack reaction gloves?
Well, fisticuffs, that one is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like more of like how you can't really respect her. It's like new where it's like, in theory, I could be playing like more armor to block out, but if I do that and like I overblock because of fisticuffs and they just throw another herald, it's like, oh, I lost.
Yep. Be aware, like that magical 5 blocks, so your 2 block armor, you need to save it for Herald of Erudition because that's one of their like pop-off cards. And just look at the chess piece, right? The chess piece tells you their game plan. If they flip over Rapture, they're aggroing you. If they flip over Vestige, they're trying to combo you.
Yeah.
But I think she's good. I think she's got some good matchups. I don't think she got better against KO. I think she got worse when the new chess piece came out. I think she got worse against Kano because Kindle just is a card and Prism didn't get anything, so Kano gets better, right?
Yeah.
I think she's good into new, right?
Yeah, she's good into Assassin.
Yep.
She's good into Azalea still.
Apparently bad into Enigma.
Yeah, no, the top 8 game was really, really relaxing. I liked it.
Really relaxing. Yeah, again, another shout out to Noah Clark for like dominating an entire battle hardened on his own. Okay. Next
that?
up, Who is this guy?
Oh, really? That's what we're doing with him?
Okay,
Oh, boy.
if you wanted to respect him, how do you respect him?
No,
There's literally
no,
nothing to do. Like
I was gonna either put him in just okay because he's Reinhardt's your value centric, right? He's the one
no,
that
no.
literally
This is your value centric. This hero.
but
Yeah,
Reinhardt
hero.
literally denies value centric heroes value by playing his own value game, saying you'll block with what I say. But the reason I'm gonna say he's just okay or disrespect is because most of the top decks don't care anyway. They're not gonna block, so you're not really getting any value.
Disruptive, absolute aggro, disruptive. Crazy board state that Reinhardt can't interact with really very well anyway.
Right.
Absolute aggro. Stuff. Prism's just stuff.
like there's no reason to play Reinhardt over like KO or Leviah right now.
He is by
I'm
far the
sorry,
worst
Reinhardt.
brute. It's not even
He
close.
is like, yeah, like your life is literally your registering romping club, bro. Like think about that. Like read it.
It's
You're registering romping club.
it's just a bad Anathos most of the time.
It is. Reinhardt's this isn't Reinhardt's meta. He's not. We're not playing that type of a game.
And it's really hard for it to be a Reinhardt meta because honestly, as soon as Intimidate is broken, he just probably skates right to LL because people do actually still need their hands most of the time to win the game, and they do need to block for value occasionally. If he just manages to deny that every turn, it's really good. That's not how Reinhardt works.
Yeah, it's the trading. You're trading some of that.
Okay. Riptide. I think this guy's
Some
pretty
respect.
good. Yeah. I don't think he's max respect.
No, but Dreadbore is a bow that most people
Dreadbore
don't
is
know.
a bow.
Okay,
Nobody reads Dreadbore.
and nobody reads it. And like I first read it,
Oh,
and I
man.
was just like, "Are you kidding me?" And like, it's one of those things where if you're like, "Oh, I've got a really good deck. It's mid range. I feel good. I've got these D reacts, and I've got all this nice cool play." You're Kasai, you're Hatchet Story, you're something where you're feeling like I've got this nice swing deck, and then all of a sudden you draw 3 D reacts in your hand. They're all absolutely useless. Every one of them.
So-
and they play Seek and Destroy.
Yeah, Seek and Destroy is really good. By
And
the
if
way,
they
you
release
have
the
not
tension,
played.
you can't block with them Arsenal.
You have not played Flesh and Blood until you shoot a Murkmire Grapnel at an Enigma with Dreadbore equipped, and she has like 12 ward on board, and she dies at 4 health because you dealt her 4 damage because her hand was all 0 blocks and defense reactions. But that's peak Flesh and Blood. It doesn't get better than shooting Murkmire for 4 when she's at 4 and she just dies. I love it.
Definitely need to understand how Riptide works. He's not a ranger you get to Arsenal hate either. He will just trench the card out of Arsenal. There is no like, okay, so he doesn't have the card for next turn, but you're not seeing his Arsenal. It's not real.
So his spread is pretty good too. I think he's favored into KO because he's got great disruption. He steals a lot of value, and he just keep KO on the back foot. Great into new, like everything new does turns KO's traps on. Can struggle a bit into Prism. Great into Leviah because he just asks Leviah questions, and Leviah can't go low. If Leviah goes to like 15 or something, sometimes she just loses the flip on the spot. And again,
Yeah.
most brute attacks activate a lot of his better traps. Enigma, pinging for 1 several times on her turn is apparently pretty good for clearing out big auras. And Murkmire Grapnel is very good against Enigma. I think he could struggle against Azalea. In some ways, Azalea is just the better ranger. So when you put a ranger versus a better ranger, usually the better ranger wins. And Kano's just cursed.
Yes.
Yeah, there's
You run even less blues than Azalea.
we haven't got to him yet, but I think the Victor matchup's actually okay for Victor. I think you guys play well into each other, but I don't think Riptide's necessarily a walk in the park against Victor.
I've been told the Victor matchup is cursed, and I would believe it. I think a good Victor is going to win most of the time, but there is play there.
Oh, of course,
You just got to be careful
It's cursed.
and play tight. Okay, Bolton. I think Bolton.
throw him in that okay.
Is he
Just
maybe
know the
higher?
combo. No, just know the combo. The combo only does so much damage. If you kill him before the combo, it doesn't matter. And if it's Raiden Bolton, if you're not playing Prism, you're okay.
Yeah, and I think Bolton's never bad anymore. He's got such a good card pool, and he's got these crazy explosive turns, even on Raiden.
Yeah, but like, you don't want to play into Azalea.
No.
Kano got harder.
Yep.
KO is still
Fine.
just capable of randomly getting there.
Yeah.
You'll die before you
New-
get the combo off.
Yeah, New will like laugh at you if you try to combo, and then if you're playing Raiden, you're playing Raiden Bolton.
Right.
If you try to combo Enigma, you're you lose.
Yeah, you're not hitting, so you're not getting soul.
Yeah, and then if you're trying to play Raiden into Enigma, they're a deck that's playing very few attacks.
I think Bolton's okay into Levia. His burstiness makes it hard for her to control when she flips.
He's
and
actually
Bolton's good into
Go.
Prism, right?
Yeah,
He's
Raiden Bolton. Farm all the Prisms you want, Raiden Bolton.
Yeah, that's the reason to play Bolton is he can beat Prism.
There you go.
Bolton is terrible into Riptide. Holy crap, is he bad? Like he is so bad.
Is that because everything he does literally turns on your
Not
traps?
only does it turn on the traps, sometimes you turn on the traps and then you turn off Bolton when he turns himself off.
Yeah,
Like,
you get frailty trapped.
yeah, you get frailty trapped and your turn just ends. You like you get buzzsaw trapped and your turn is over. Like it just stops. It's really bad.
He's also bad into the other warriors as well. Just the way that the cards block and stuff. You're not getting any of the activations on it.
Yeah. But
you still gotta respect them.
He sits in the okay tier.
I'm not
Oath to Steel's a hell of a card.
Teklevasen, who
He's
are
gone.
you?
Not real.
There might be a list out there that utilizes like the boost cards and stuff, but
I'll believe it when I see it.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not in this meta.
Just I don't know. He's just fundamentally flawed. It turns out when you start your game with 4 pieces of really bad equipment, your hero can struggle.
Wait, Zen, I just need another turn to build my mech. And you're already dead. Like
Meow.
there's just no way.
Azuri, I think she's still really good.
Yeah, like Azuri actually cards this set. They're just like they're not the coolest cards, but they're pretty cool cards.
So she
Definitely
just
don't
got
sleep
better
on
stealth cards, right? Persuasive Prognosis is just a better stealth card to put in your deck because if they don't block it, bad stuff happens.
Yeah.
And then she could flip in if she wants to flip in.
Yep.
I think she got some cool stuff.
She's one of my dark horses. Don't disrespect Azuri, and I think Levia as well. Levia can go on a tear. Don't disrespect Levia. Like those matchups.
Oh, I wish I could
Those
just
are my
crush
dark
these two
horses.
into the same image because you just need the kind of the same amount of respect. Just know when not to block and just deal with it. And move on.
I just think that like New is just like better than Azuri right now.
But I think if you like Azuri or you have the cards for her and don't
There's
have the cards
actual
for New
reasons to play Azuri over New.
Yeah, the flip is really good.
Yeah, and red cards.
Yes, and red cards.
Victor,
Actual red cards.
I think it's hard to tell if the community might be psyoping or not, but I think he's probably the king of okay.
Put him at the top of okay. That's what I was gonna say. Put him right at the top
really
of okay.
Okay, like
he gatekeeps a lot of decks, but he loses to a lot of the top decks.
Yeah, there's always one in top 8, and they will always lose like hard. Like
he straight up loses to this guy. I think KO beats him most times.
Yeah, KO is favored.
I think New is favored. Enigma is very favored. Levia, I always felt super favored in Victor. I hope Victor showed up. I don't know Prism.
How's the Azalea Victor?
So hard question to answer because it really depends on like if you're actually playing like Eeg shots or like hamstring shots or just stuff like that can like kind of respect him. The big thing is that like a lot of Victors right now are trying to make their decks more and more aggressive to like compete with Kano and compete with like Enigma. And that stuff makes you like worse into Azalea.
Right.
Like yeah, like Victor's like one of the if I had to pick like decks I don't want to see, Victor's like up there, but at the same time, like
same as
it's getting easier and easier over time. There's also the fact too that a lot of Victor players tend to like be people that are playing the deck purely because like it is a free win machine. Like if you have like 1 week to prepare for this tournament, Victor is probably the best deck to just pick up and go.
Yeah, that's true. He's got a very high floor.
Yeah.
And he punishes poor play. Like if people misplay, right? He punishes that super hard because his defensive cards are so strong. He does have good on hits. He just doesn't He just doesn't have good enough damage output in a single turn cycle to keep up, and his disruption is blockable a lot of times. He doesn't have the Bravo effect.
His only gotcha's pummel too, and that's just, you have to keep track of what he's pitching and what he's playing. Like, so it's an experience thing. If you're watching the Victor and you see him how he's stacking the pitch stack and where the machos are and stuff, you can kind of time it too. So it's
all right. And next up is Viserai.
Just put him in disrespect.
Andrew, where is Viserai at? You'd be the best answer. If you played Viserai in this meta, do you have a chance?
I think you do actually have a chance. Like, as dumb as it sounds, you're never beating Azalea, so that sucks. Kano, you're actually like surprisingly good against because you have Arcane Barrier free naturally, and Amethyst Tiara is really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's very hard as Kano to play around the idea that your opponent can go Spellbound Creeper's Riffle and Rune Blood and just block with 4 Rune Chants at any time if you're trying to go off. Like, he's actually like low key one of Kano's worst matchups.
Mm-hmm.
KO, like, I have no clue how that matchup is supposed to like be because like I keep winning against it, but I'm pretty sure like it's not actually that good.
He has some
Neil,
efficient numbers. Like, he has one of the best hero powers in the game. Like,
yeah. So like the thing is with like Viserai is if you let him be every 3 to 4 turns, he will have a 5-card 20 something against you.
Yep.
Like, it's just like how he works. Like, Enigma is favored. Levia, they good luck flipping because his damage is just so unpredictable.
Yeah.
He's very bad for Prism, like one of her worst matchups, because like he's actually playing real poppers that have text against you. And also like is able to present damage very quickly. Like, Viserai can kill Prism in like 2 turns.
Yep.
No clue on Riptide because I've never played that matchup. And I don't know about Azuri that much either.
How do you feel about assassins in general? Like, I know Arachne's not great, but I'm sure you've played against assassin at some point.
Yeah, like Assassin in general, Viserai is not that bad, but like you do like have to draw good and not get disrupted too hard. Now the big problem is Zen is really good against you.
Yes. We'll
Because
get
Zen's
to why in just a sec. Yeah, it's the chess piece, the 12 petal Kasaya.
So you're gonna deal with the fact there's 2 max respect heroes that you're very bad into.
Yeah. We got one more hero before we get to there. I think Vincent is probably in the disrespect.
Yeah.
Put her at the top of disrespect. Give her something.
She's got some really notable disruption.
Yeah, like
if her hands line up right, she actually can do some really nasty things to some of the top tier heroes.
Vincent's actually very good at doing very unfair, degenerate things. Her main problem is that anything fair, she's really bad at. Like, you don't have like a weapon that you can like lean on if you're having like a bad hand. So like you will literally lose a lot of games because you look at your hand and it's like 4 2-block non-attacks. And you're like, oh, I lost.
And then sometimes it's just like your opponent can wait for you to get that too. You just go,
yeah, like if your opponent presents a deck, you just lose sometimes.
Yeah, because they go, okay, I AB3 block 9, AB3 block 9, AB3 block 9. Then finally the Vincent goes, oh, my hand doesn't function. I guess I banish a card and pass.
Yeah, and that's when you take the tempo back.
Yeah, and the counterplay to that is, oh, I'll just keep an extra Blood Debt attack and banish every turn. And what actually happens is every turn you're losing 1 life.
Yeah, or more sometimes.
Yeah, and so like eventually you're like, I've lost 15 life to Blood Debt this
and
game.
Your new matchup is cursed. Some of the funniest images I was seeing like after Nuke got launched was of Vincents with like 12 Blood Debt.
Yeah, Mask of Recurring Nightmares is not a fun card to play against as Vincent.
This card stuck in banish, you're never getting out.
Dude, no, she hits with the Bonds of Agony. It puts 3 blood debt into the banish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Widespread Annihilation is really good against you.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh god, and then some of the blue cards that end up in the banish zone are
you banished like a blue Deathly Whale. You're like, all right, we're gonna keep this bad boy for later.
Okay, and right now, in my opinion, the best deck in the format is this guy. If you don't have a way to like interact with him in some way, you're probably going to lose.
his damage is astronomical if it's chained correctly. I mean, granted, you have to draw the nuts sometimes,
No,
but
you
even
don't
without
have
the
to draw the
nuts,
nuts. The nut
well,
starts on board. You just need to
let's
transcend one time, and then you can just search the
Yeah, it takes
nuts.
like, yeah, he has one turn where he sucks, and then he's good.
And then he's good. So it's his armor suite. He's got Traverse the Universe. He uses it better than any other hero by far. You would think that saying play Mirror Guy, swing for 8, block 4, so a 1 card 12 is good. You would think a 1 card 12 would be like the cream of the crop of using Traverse the Universe.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not even close.
It turns out the best thing to be doing with it is playing Art of War and not having to banish anything.
Yeah. And then usually I'm completely okay with all of LSS's design choices, except for the one time that they made boots that let you draw a card. They broke their own rules.
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So we're talking about the common equipment that Zen uses that lets him block and put a Crouching Tiger in hand. So if you haven't played against Zen, you block with Traverse the Universe, you put a Chi hand, you block with the boots, you put a Tiger in hand, and now you have this, like, if you've ever played on Talishar, it's like a whole line of cards across the screen, and you're just like, what am I supposed to do against this? Yes, it's a Chi, yes, it's a Tiger, but they play Art of War, banish the Tiger, draw 2 cards, pitch the Chi into the Zen ability, get the best possible combo card, get another Tiger that they could then banish to their second Art of War, and then play Ancestral Harmony, and just...
Yeah, I'm serious. If you guys want just a snippet or an idea of how nasty it gets, it's not even the worst it could get. Just go look at the Singapore game where they played against the Dory and watch the Dory go from 32 to 7, blocking with every piece of armor and every card in hand. It was a 54 damage or 53 damage turn, and it was absurd.
Okay. That being said, he does have matchups he could struggle into. Kano is extremely powerful.
Yeah. And you can't block with Traverse the Universe.
Yeah, you can't block with Traverse the Universe in your boots. So Kano has some game into him. Azalea can just do Azalea things sometimes. Red and Ledger, Red and Ledger, Red and Ledger, and then he's too low to really take advantage of anything.
Yeah, or like Sleep Dart too.
Nu has the most effective hand shred in the game. So her hand shred can keep Zen from ever doing his pop-off turn, or she gets lucky and just like rips all the Art of Wars out of his hand, or all out of his deck, or all the Ancestral Harmonies out of his deck. Prism can do Figment of Triumph and say, oh, that Art of War? How about not? He just completely -1 his entire pop-off turn. It's very strong.
And then in your follow-up turn, you can just flip the Figment of Triumph and then swing it to give everything -1 again.
Yeah, it's really good. I think Prism has some pretty good game. I would say if you're running into Zen and you want to make sure that you have a little bit more points into him, the new Stonewall Gauntlets.
Yep.
Pretty good.
That round's on me. Kind of okay too. A little bit.
That costs you 3 cards. This one costs you 1. You just most people have space on their gloves, right? The interaction with Stonewall Gauntlets says when this blocks, it blocks for 1 in Split Break. It says when this blocks, if its attack is higher than space, all attacks on the combat chain get -1. Yes, Zen can break the combat chain, but the highest damage hands that Zen will do will be the Descendant into Bonds of Ancestry line, which he cannot break the chain to do that. So if he Art of Wars, you block the Descendant Gust Wave, it gets -1. You block 1, it gets -1. Then the Bonds gets -1, and then the card he grabs with the Bonds gets -1. And he can't break the chain in any of those. And if it was going to be a double Bonds turn, the next Gust Wave gets -1, the next Bonds gets -1, and the card after that gets -1. So you're getting somewhere between 3 and 6 points of value, depending on how everything turns out. It's really good. I would totally say everyone going to Nationals, if you're struggling with Zen, or you just
gloves,
they're generic. I don't understand how they're like $18.
Yeah,
they might be going up a little bit, but they're really
make sure
cheap.
You guys get a pair of those. Any generic piece of gear, you gotta have a pair of.
Yeah, great.
You really do. Yeah, you have to.
Also, if you equip them and this guy shows up here, he hates Stonewall Gauntlets.
Yeah, Bolin also can hate them a lot too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you like go like via the Vanguard and like they're just like, yeah, block with Stonewall Gauntlets.
Yeah, you're like sad. They're like, oh, this sucks. Especially if they only V in for the Vanguard for 1, right? You just completely shut off their turn.
Yeah.
All right, that's everybody. And I didn't really intend it to end up symmetrical, but it is.
Yeah.
It feels pretty good. I think we have a decent tier list. Again, there's no S or anything like that. It's just decks you need to respect, decks you need to look out for, decks you need to make sure that you have game into, especially the max respect and respect tier. And you need to be okay playing on a foothold with the okay decks, at least most of them. But if you're not, if you don't have a good matchup spread into those max respect and respect decks, you need to kind of think about what you're bringing to Nats and why you're bringing it. If it's a comfort pick, then you need to tailor it towards the weakest ones up there and, pray to the gem gods. But definitely these are going to be the prevalent heroes for sure.
Yep. And I think, like, when we say prevalent, I think this is going to be 50% of the meta easily, these top 10, if not more. And then you'll see most of this fill out, and then you'll see like smatterings of these guys.
Yeah, I'd agree. I would agree.
All right. I think that's the end of our podcast. We ran long, and I knew we would. Anyone got
Tier
anything
lists are
else to
always a
say?
little long.
Yeah.
Just Andrew, do you have anything you want to shout out? Anything going on? Any type of social or anything like that? Any words of wisdom? Anything you want to say before Nats?
Fuck Prism.
It had to
Not
come
even
in
a
somewhere. August 17th, we're hosting a Realm Invitational at LevelUp Duluth. So that is an opportunity within the state of Georgia or the Southeast area in general to come and try to get an invite to the Realm 50K or whatever K it's going to be this year. That usually ends up in December. So yeah, come do that on August 17th.
We'll have more details coming up, but just want to keep shouting it out. Make sure you guys
when I get back from Nats, I'm going to lock in and take care of this because I'm pretty sure I'm not going to Pro Tour or Worlds, so I can really focus in on projects.
And on that note, where can everybody find you?
Me?
Thomas on social media.
Yeah. You can find me at Wet the System Fab on Twitter and Wet the System on Discord.
And I am at BigMaxFab on Twitter and twitch.tv/BigMax. And if we have nothing else, we'll go ahead and roll it on out.
And if you want to find this guy who loves Prism, his Discord is F Prism. If you missed it on the screen earlier. And thank you for coming and hanging out with us, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew, for coming in and hanging out for Donnie, who is out of town.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. We hope you enjoyed catching up with us this week. And if you did, subscribe and follow, depending on where you found us, to catch us again next time. Until then, take care of yourselves. And remember, we're all siblings in cardboard. Also, you got to max respect that pummel. You better discard your cards. You got it. And D-cheat. You're going to get IP. Don't do it.